Welcome to High Point. I'm Julie Horner, the Research and Development Director for Gospel Publishing House. So I oversee the development of resources like High Point for ministry in local churches. That's only during the week though. On the weekends, I'm a children's pastor. So I take those sessions home and I try them out with kids before we package them up and send them to you. We want to make sure that everything really works before you try them out. We thought it would be fun to take you to the place where I try High Point and show you how we use it in the different rooms. So let's get ready to take off. Welcome to High Point, and you can see that we're inside a plane because High Point's all about traveling to dream trip destinations, and no better way to do that than by airplane, and this makes it fun for the kids. We're going to start by looking at the sample lesson, and if you've printed it out, look at the first page, which will give a good overview of High Point. Every High Point unit has just one point. What's the point? And then the kids answer it with one phrase. The lesson that you're looking at is from the Good Anger, Bad Anger unit, and it says, when I'm angry, I won't sin. That's a great phrase for kids to remember when they get angry. High Point units also have just one memory verse or life verse, and we choose those to be verses that are going to mean something to the kids throughout life, not just in the unit that we're studying. So in this one, it's in your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry. And kids enjoy learning that verse as well. The objectives are all about how to live out the character trait that we're learning in everyday life and show how God's Word and our faith tie into not only Sunday morning, but every day throughout the week. This Bible story is Jesus and the Pharisees. All the High Point units focus on just one Bible character for the most part. We do that because when we created High Point, it was created to be visitor friendly. And we found that kids who don't come to church all the time don't have a good understanding of who the Bible characters are. And when we tried skipping around to different characters each week, it made it very difficult for the kids to remember who we had been talking about the week before. So we zero in on one character. That also usually lets us see the characters do both good and bad with the character trait that we're studying, kind of like us in everyday life. And then we can teach what we can do about it because we're always growing, not just when we're 7 or 8 or 9, but even when we're adults too. You look at the chart at the bottom of the page, it tells you what a typical High Point session looks like. High Point always starts with takeoff, and that's what we're doing. We're getting ready to take off for a fun High Point session right here inside the plane. Then we go on to hub time, and that's where we break up into small groups to talk about what we're learning and find out how to apply it to our lives. After that, we have fun connecting flights, where we do all kinds of hands-on learning activities and have a good time, just letting the theme sink into our hearts. And of course, we wrap up every session with the landing. That's where we tell the Bible story in an interactive way so that we make sure we send kids home remembering what God's Word has to say about what we've learned that day. But let's get into takeoff while we're sitting here in the plane. If you'll turn your page and follow along, you'll be able to see what happens in a traditional, typical takeoff session in all the High Point themed units. It all starts with a welcome as we board the plane and worship time. You are welcome to choose the worship songs that you love singing with your kids, or there are songs that are here in the book. My kids enjoy these songs from Go the Distance. In fact, I have the Music Actions DVD that teaches how to do the actions. I've sent that home with some of the kids, and they actually lead these songs now, not me. So it makes it a lot of fun for them, too, to learn how to minister and serve as they lead everyone else in the music. After we do the worship time, it's fun to see what we remember from the time before. And so the DVD has a 5-question High Point challenge. Those are all fun review questions, and usually they're answered yes, no, or short answer. And the kids always do some kind of fun actions like thumbs up or thumbs down or different things to show what they think their answer is. Because I'm in this plane, most of the time we have one side of the plane compete against the other side of the plane as we do the challenge questions. So that makes it a little more fun. We never want to make kids feel stupid when we ask questions in High Point. So you shouldn't find questions that are pointing them out or asking them to answer something that we haven't already taught them. Because we don't want the kids that don't get to come to church all the time to feel bad when they're having to answer a question that expects them to have been in Sunday school their whole life. And that's why we keep it tied to what we're teaching them. And you can see some of the fun ones that they learned. The first session is always questions about the destination that we're traveling to. And they learn fun things about where we're going. And then the rest of the sessions review the week before. The next part then is probably the kids' favorite part of High Point. And that's when the crazy character comes to visit. In the unit that you're looking at, it's Dr. Quirky, and he is a mad scientist. He's one of the fun ones because he does scientific experiments for us, which are actually object lessons, but the kids don't really know that. And it's an easy character, easy thing to recruit for because you've probably got people in your church or group that love to dress up and have some acting ability or can fake it pretty good. And you just need to get them involved. They only need to commit to 5 weeks to be the crazy character. And we have fun. We found that when we wanted the character traits to be taught to the kids, of course we're not all doing these traits right. But we don't want to sit in a small group and talk about what we need to learn. And that's why we created the crazy character. He or she is not living like they should with the character trait. And so the kids see someone who is a bad example, and then they get to talk about how to fix that person when we go to the hub time, which we'll do in just a little bit. And over the course of the 5 sessions, the crazy character understands the character trait and learns to live it out in their life too. So they end up being kind of a role model after the time goes on. But at the beginning, the kids just get a real kick out of how silly they are. Let's talk about what comes in a High Point kit. You'll order one themed kit, and it'll come in a box like this. And inside this box are the things that you need for 8 kids in your High Point group. If you have more kids than that, there are some of the student pieces that you'll want to get extras of. But this has everything you need to get started. It's nice because you can keep these kits and reuse them again after you've gone through all the High Point kits, which is what I plan to do here pretty soon. And so that makes it more economical for you because you can create a library of these resources. Let's see what's inside. The most important piece that's inside is the session guide. It is fully reproducible, which makes it easy for you to make whatever copies you need for all of the staff that you have helping you with High Point, if there are any. Most of the time I do High Point with just my husband and me, and so it doesn't take long to make those copies. It's got the session outlines and other reproducibles, the connecting flight parts, the character skits, all those things are inside this session guide. The DVD has the video for the different High Point units. The DVD is used only in the large group time, the takeoff and the landings. So it has the fun footage of the plane taking off and landing. It has the High Point Challenge quiz on it and other background video for the different parts of High Point. It isn't just press and play, and that's because we found as we tried out resources like that kids really do best when they've got human interaction live in the room teaching them. So this is a support resource for you because we want you to be the one changing their lives, not just a video. You'll have passports for 8 kids. The kids love these because they get to collect the stickers for the destinations that they go to. Even if a kid's never had a real passport and traveled outside the country that they live in, they have fun pretending, and it makes all the Dream Trip destinations even more fun as we go to unique places. There are postcards, and these work great to invite kids and get them excited about the next theme, or you can print the boarding passes on the back that are their send home activities. And I also love printing the review point and life verse on the back and using them as a graduation certificate as well. It makes us a fun memory of where we've traveled to for the kids. There's a sheet of stickers that's themed, and then one that's about High Point, and these are what you use to fill up the passport. High Point isn't a high achievement program, so we don't tell you what to do with them. That's completely up to you. Some groups just give them out when the kids come and if they bring a friend. Some groups use them for each of the connecting flights so that the kids collect those over the High Point themed unit. It's completely up to you. You can use them however you want. They just make it fun for the kids. There are 8 travel journals, and these are the activity pages that are used. There's just one per kid per High Point unit. And that's because when we did research with kids, they said, we don't want church to feel like school. So you won't find these filled with fill-in-the-blank activities and things like that. Instead, they are designed to be like a journal that you would keep from a Dream Trip destination. Only what we're collecting here are memories about how God works in their lives, and He hides that character trait inside of them and shows them how to live it out, not only at church, but at home and school too. There is a CD-ROM in the back of the session guide as well, and that includes printables of the different parts of the High Point session guide, as well as the things that the kids need for some of the activities and things like that, so you'll want to make sure that you check that out as well. There is one other thing that comes inside the kit, and that's the High Point posters, and you'll see those as we travel around today. One has the life verse on it, and that's because that's a very important thing for kids to remember. And then there are others that you can write on what you want. So I've used one for the point, and I also have them labeled for the different parts of our destination for takeoff and landing and connecting flights and hub times. But you can use them however you want to decorate your environment with the fun theme. If you're not someone who loves to decorate all the time, these travel posters let you customize your environment just to the theme, but you can keep the main decorations all about the airport, so you won't have to change everything out every 5 weeks. That's what's inside the kit. Hub times are led by tour guides, and it's just one page, and it tells them what to say and what to ask. So it doesn't take a lot of prep time, which most volunteers really like. Just 5 minutes or less to read through it and do what it says with the kids. Hub times always end in prayer because we want to make sure that kids have a chance to share their prayer requests and then be prayed for while they're at High Point. After hub time is connecting flights. There are 4 connecting flights in the High Point, and they're meant to be done one each time for the 4 sessions. They last 30 minutes, and they have different themes that go in each one of them. Connecting Flight A is always about the character trait that we're learning about. So it has usually 3 activities that all reinforce what to do when we're angry, or our attitude, or whatever our theme is. The second Connecting Flight B, always does activities that reinforce the life verse because we want to make sure that the kids remember it. All the life verses have actions that kids learn with it, and then we do games just to help them remember that verse for the rest of their lives, hopefully. Connecting Flight C is always fun games. It's designed to be done in a big hallway or a gym where kids can just run off their energy, which of course they enjoy a lot. But the games are intentional. They aren't just fun playground games. They reinforce the theme and other things that kids are learning at High Point. And the last Connecting Flight D, is all about the Dream Trip destination. We want kids to learn about the fun place that we're traveling to, and this is a great way to do it. On the 5th week of High Point, we do something different, and it's called rotation stations. During what would be connecting flight time, kids do quick activities that are often a review of what they've learned that week, and then a fun snack and other things, just to make sure one more time that they won't forget what we have studied in the character trait that we're learning about. Staffing High Point is pretty easy. We want everything to not take a lot of preparation, so you should only need one person who has to do much outside prep each week. That's the pilot, and that's the person often who is leading the Bible stories and things like that. If you have a group of 15 or fewer kids, you're just going to need one other person to help lead with you if you're the pilot. That person can be the dressed-up character, or you may choose someone else to come in and volunteer to be that role. But you'll want to be able to divide the kids up into smaller groups during hub time of 5 to 8 kids, so having 2 adults will help you do that. If your group is larger than 15 kids, you'll want to add another volunteer to lead the hub times for each 5 to 8 kids you have beyond that. So for a group of 50 kids, you'd probably want to have 7 to 10 volunteers who are there primarily to lead hub time and do the activities with the kids. They won't need to do a lot of preparation outside of High Point, but you will want them there just to help the kids have a great time and help you keep everyone focused on what they're doing. A great way to bring in new volunteers is to ask them to lead one of the connecting flights. They're designed so that you can recruit someone by the things that they love doing. If, like my husband, he enjoys sports, so he's a great volunteer to lead the Connecting Flight C activities because they're all games and active things, and so it fits him perfectly. I enjoy doing crafts. Usually crafts are done in either Connecting Flight A or D, and so that's the one I'd look for, is to hand to someone who enjoys leading kids in those kinds of activities. Someone can volunteer just for one theme for the 5 weeks and choose to not volunteer the next time. So you don't have to have a long-term commitment to try out to be a volunteer in High Point. High Point is designed to be done in any order that you want. We will have 30 themes when we're done, and you can choose them based on what you think your kids need to learn about next. And so you can see these are done in a random order because it doesn't matter where you go first and second and third. If you are starting out with High Point, I think some of the best units to start with are Good Anger, Bad Anger, or Attitude Check, because probably mom and dad are going to see some pretty quick results in the lives of their kids when you choose themes like that. Other options, if you're starting at Halloween, consider using Good versus Evil, because it's going to help your kids understand what evil looks like in our world today and what the Bible has to say about it. If you're starting at Christmas, you may want to choose the worship theme, because it shows different ways that we worship God through the Christmas story. And so that's a fun one to do around the holidays. One of the things we always do during takeoff and landing is review the life verse. It has fun actions with it, so I thought it might be good for Kinsey and I to show you the actions from one of the life verses. Ready?
Yeah.
Create in me a pure heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. Psalms 51:10. The last part of every High Point session is called the landing. All the kids come back together to hear the Bible story and find out about how the Bible character that we're learning about is using that character trait in their life, or not using it if it happens to be a story that's a bad example. We usually do the landing in a room where the kids sit in chairs and watch the people doing the story on a stage. But if we're going to move around a lot, I stay right out here in the hallway so that the kids can move as they are the characters in the middle of the Bible story that time.